Marty Meierotto, the intrepid Alaskan trapper immortalized on History Channel's Mountain Men, confronted perils that would shatter lesser souls, plummeting from a cherished on-screen icon to the epicenter of profound adversity. His thriving vocation as a wilderness survivor suffered a seismic jolt, ushering in an era of tribulation that tested the very core of his unyielding spirit. How did this stoic frontiersman navigate the abyss of anguish? Did he orchestrate a triumphant resurgence from the clutches of calamity? This chronicle delves into Marty's odyssey, from the untamed expanses of his youth to his unbowed defiance against nature's fury, unveiling a saga of grit, kinship, and the indomitable human will. Born on July 10, 1966, in the frost-kissed hinterlands of northern Wisconsin, Marty Meierotto entered a realm where the whisper of pine winds and the crunch of snow underfoot shaped destinies. His progenitors, Thomas and Karen Meierotto, fervent stewards of the backwoods, kindled within him an unquenchable affinity for the arid Badlands, though Wisconsin's chill more closely mirrored the frozen tundras he would later conquer. From tender years, Marty immersed himself in the ancestral trade of pelt harvesting, shadowing his elder siblings Jeff and Steve across the glacial terrains, ensnaring elusive beasts that evoked terror in the faint-hearted. "I relish pursuing those spectral predators," he once confided, his voice laced with the thrill of the chase, evoking wolves that prowled the shadowed fringes of human fear. Eschewing the gilded halls of academia post-secondary schooling, Marty spurned collegiate pursuits in 1985, anchoring his fate to the familial legacy of snare setting, only to confront the barren yields of Wisconsin's depleted wilds, scant quarry amid a horde of rivals vying for vanishing pelts. Undeterred, he and Jeff embarked on an audacious exodus northward, traversing the unforgiving miles to Alaska's Emerald Labyrinth, a promised land teeming with untamed bounty. Their sojourn, initially a fleeting foray into fur-laden frontiers, morphed into an eternal vow as the aurora's ethereal dance and the solitude's serene hush ensnared their wanderlust. To forge his snare empire amid penury, Marty toiled in menial labors, scrubbing corridors in Fairbanks' dim-lit halls, felling timber in drenching downpours, and erecting frameworks under relentless gales, amassing scant wages to procure his inaugural snare array and weathered bivouac. Spare moments became sacred rituals of pursuit, his sinews honed by the wild's merciless forge, transforming privation into propulsion. Alaska's gauntlet was no idol. Tempests howled like vengeful specters, and isolation gnawed at the psyche. Yet Marty reveled in the forge of fortitude, relinquishing wage-bound chains after biennial drudgery to embrace full-time ensnarement. Mastering the boreal crucible demanded arcane arts of endurance, erecting compact refuges impervious to the gale's wrath, threading snare circuits 200 miles northward from Fairbanks into realms where mercury plunged 30 to 40 degrees below zero, capitalizing on the polar night's elongated veil for nocturnal vigils. His tenacity birthed a lattice of outposts along those snare veins, sanctuaries against the void, baffling comrades who deemed his forsaking of urban hearths for glacial exile a folly of the forlorn. Yet Marty, with eyes fixed on the horizon's haze, decreed his vision unbreakable, a testament to the soul's supremacy over circumstance. Marty's foray into peril's embrace transcended mere pelt quests. It encompassed aerial audacity and conflagration conquests that etched him as a polymath of the perilous. In 1988, he enlisted with the Chena Interagency Hotshot Crew, a crucible admitting 8 aspirants and tempering only 4 into elite inferno tamers by 1994. Marty among the unyielding quartet, not merely surviving the ordeal, but mentoring novices through its inferno. His fervor for the firmament ignited a parallel odyssey. Harboring dreams of winged mastery, he fused aviation with arboreal exile, logging 337 descents across 114 blaze battles as a smoke jumper for the Alaska Fire Service from 1994 onward, parachuting into ember-choked abysses where flames devoured the firmament. Summers, when snare seasons slumbered, summoned him to these pyrrhic pilgrimages, vaulting from stratospheric silence into scorched symphonies. His familiarity with Alaska's labyrinthine veins a lodestar amid the maelstrom, yielding not just supplemental sustenance for his burgeoning brood, but the exhilaration of dominion over devastation. This expanse is my sanctum, where authenticity blooms, Marty proclaimed, encapsulating his symbiotic bond with the boundless. His saga, a mosaic of Frostbite's bite and Blaze's breath, ensnared the gaze of History Channel artisans, who, mesmerized by this paragon of primitive prowess, proffered a pact in 2012 to immortalize his odyssey in vignettes of valor. Thus debuted Mountain Men on May 31st, 2012, a tapestry of temerity threading tales of trailblazers who wrestled the wild into submission, blending peril, prowess, and primordial persistence. Devotees devoured its dispatches of daring, bushcraft ballets, quarry quests, and subsistence stratagems, eager for each installment's visceral vitality, where neophytes infused novelty into the narrative. Marty's mosaic unveiled the arcane alchemy of his existence, solitary sojourns in subarctic solitude, erecting bastions against the boreal barrage, his snow-sled steed a faithful steed across crystalline carpets, ensnaring mink, beaver, vermin, and the ferocious wolverine with a precision born of peril's pedagogy. Forge shelters if fate demands. It's an eternal expedition, he intoned, his timbre a clarion of conviction. Yet Marty's mantle was but one thread in Mountain Men's rugged weave, interwoven with luminaries like Eustace Conway, the erudite ecologist ensconced in North Carolina's Blue Ridge bastions at Turtle Island Preserve, where he dispensed primordial proficiencies to pilgrims, bartering blaze-tempered billets for ancient artisanship. Tom Orr, the venerable pelt preparer, dwelled by Montana's Yaak River nexus with spouse Nancy and hound Ellie, invoking indigenous incantations to transmute hides into heirlooms. Jake Herrick, the Cougar chronicler since 2018, prowled Montana's tobacco root fastness, his saga shadowed by paternal perdition to neoplasm, propelling him toward nature's nectar. In 2021, he pledged troth to Inuka Ward amid the mist-shrouded Montes. Mike Horstman, the Ursine usher born December 19, 1954, in Jonesville, exiled to Kodiak's craggy coasts with canine Adele, traced his trajectory from juvenile jaunts with kin to slaying his inaugural Bruin at 17, amassing over 4 decades in that insular idol, inaccessible save by skiff or sky, guiding grizzly galleons for 11 hebdomadal harvests annually, his septuagenarian sinews still supple in the savage ballet. Each exemplar embodied the ethos of endurance, their vignettes vivid with visceral vignettes. Canines corralling carnivores, colossi of conifer cabanas spanning scorched spans, a symphony of stamina sustaining spectators through seasonal sagas. The saga's acclaim, 7.3 on IMDb, 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, affirmed its allure, rewarding progenitors with pecuniary plenitude, elevating cast coffers to elite echelons despite their ascetic auras. Pelt procurers purportedly pocketed $3,500 per portrayal, modulated by metal, with or amassing $15,000 per outing across omnipresent outings, his trove tallying $200,000, Conway commanding $130,000 yearly, his anthropological acumen augmenting appearances in ancillary arcs like Reconvergence. The 64-year-old savant scorning senescence for screen sojourns. Herrick harvested $10,000 per season, his cash at $70,000. Horseman, the hoary hunter, hauled $70,000 annually, his hoard hovering at $500,000. Marty mirrored this cadre, his snare skirmishes against elusive ermine adversaries a spectacle of solitary splendor, erecting enclaves unaided, his diurnal dance a duel with the diurnal dearth, snowsled scouting for snare spoils under auroral arches. "This is my creed, my quintessence," he avowed, his authenticity an antidote to artifice. Marty's meteoric ascent on Mountain Men, spanning 8 sagas from 2012, unveiled unvarnished verities. Two Rivers tableaus with kin in Season 7, wintry vigils and vestigial vaults, snowsled odysseys etching ephemeral paths across eternal ice. His bushplane ballet a ballet of boundless blue, ferrying him through fog-shrouded fjords with finesse forged in folly. His prowess propelled paradigms, instilling fortitude in the faint-hearted, his gunless gauntlet against Lupin legions a legend in Lupin lore. In 2013, Field and Stream S. Bill Heavy hymnologized Marty's magnanimity. Adrift in Arctic ambush after shadowing the snare sentinel for triadic toils, benumbed by boreal bite after quadrivial quadricycles and quagmire quadrature, Heavy's hearthless haze nearly heralded his hegemony. Marty's meridian mind mapped the miasma, his spouse Dominique's dictum, eschew the enclave sans igniter and parchment, proving prescient, her sagacity salvaging the scribe from sub-zero surrender. This tableau of tenacity transcended telecasts, etching Marty as an exemplar of equanimity amid entropy. Yet shadows stalked his splendor, nocturnal specters of predation, labyrinthine losses bereft of beacon, and a cataclysmic convulsion in the clouds that captivated and chilled. In Mountain Men's closest call, Coda, spectators shuddered as Marty's Piper PA-18 Super Cub, shot in tundra treads, plummeted in precipitous plunge while patrolling pelt perimeters proximate the Drangic's desolate delta on Alaska's Arctic apron. Stabilizing the spiraling steed with sinewy sovereignty, he alighted amid alien arroyos, marooned in midnight's moss-sand sustenance or sanctuary, condemned to cabin confinement through the cruel crepuscule, scavenging scant sustenance until spring's thaw. This aerial apocalypse birthed a bespoke behemoth, a snowsled savant, snowshy sans quaternary inches of crystalline cushion to quell caloric conflagration, compelling ceaseless cessations to compress handfuls of hoarfrost against the heater's hubris. Kodiak's crags compounded the chronicle, pursuing pinnacle-dwelling caprites in that isle's igneous inlets. Marty's meander unearthed monstrous paw prints portending a 9-foot Nubian nightmare, a colossal Kodiak kin slinking through the same savage sanctum. "This phantasm was my foremost phobia," he faltered, firearm firm yet fraught with foreboding, haunted by hemorrhagic histories where heroism halted at hubris's hem. Such skirmishes with the savage were but preludes to profounder pathos, the perishing of comrades in the collective. Preston Roberts' 2017 rupture, ravaged by rampant neoplasm nesting in his noblest organ, reverberated through the ranks, his inexorable ebb evoking eulogies from Marty, who extolled the empath's altruism and amplified a benefaction barrage surpassing $110,000 in quinquagenarian quintets, crowning the kin's domicile with a durable dome amid their desolation. These elegies echoed, etching epiphanies that eroded Marty's equanimity, pondering if the primordial path presaged his own precipice, peril's proximity imperiling his progeny, boreal brutality battering his bastion, or the barrage of barbs from beastly benefactors. Marty's mantle, though majestic, magnetized malice from Mercy's militants. Animal advocacy alliances assailed his artisanal ambushes as atrocities, decrying the distress dealt to denizens of the deep woods, deeming his dominion deleterious in an epoch of electric ease, where humanity's hearth held no hunger for harvest. Marty met their maledictions with measured missives, maintaining his métier mitigated mayhem, his meticulous mechanisms minimizing malaise per Alaska's austere edicts. pursuing permissible prey in prescribed phases to perpetuate pastoral parity. It's not savagery for sport, it's stewardship for sustainability. He stipulated in Symposia, his retort rousing riposte from radicals railing the reel as rigged for ratings. Yet loyal legions rallied, recounting raw recitals of his rustic routine, unadorned authenticity amid auroral ambushes, as irrefutable imprimatur. Unseen undercurrents underscored his unyielding, glacial dawns in glade groves grinding his gallantry, yet galvanizing his gaze toward greater graces, silence's sacrament, undisturbed by urban uproar, winds whisper and beasts bellow the soul's serenade, labor's litany a liturgy of liberation. For Marty, Alaska's austerity was ambrosia, isolation and idle, freedom's fragrance unfettered by fetters of fellowship. Amid this austere anthem, he unearthed existential elixir, a halcyon hearth with Dominique, his devoted damsel divested of downtown dazzle for the domain's desolation, their tryst a testament to tenacious troth forged in fur trade forays. Their progeny, Noah Jane, blossomed in this boreal bloom, a beacon binding his beleaguered being. Post-perilous pursuits, paternal ponderings by pyre and platter preserved his poise. Dominique and Noah's nods his north star through nocturnal nadir. Kinship's cadence crescendoed when celebrity's glare grew galling. After octad orbits on mountain men, Marty proclaimed his egress in 2019, yearning for unfilmed fellowship with his then 13-year-old treasure, unburdened by the lens's lurking leer. Noah aids the ambuscade sans scrutiny's shadow, he elucidated, etching an edict of eternal absence, prioritizing patrimony over prominence, vowing to vest her in the vocation's veiled verities. Hunt's heraldry and snare's subtlety, sans spectacle snare. Devotees despaired, dubbing the domain diminished sans his dauntless demeanor, the second sentinel's secession shadowing Orr's earlier odyssey to Florida's sunlit solitudes. Yet Marty's manifesto rang resonant. Ponder your pyre's prose, not pecuniary piles or posts, but life's ledger. He lamented, liberating himself for lineage's loom, trappings torch to be tendered to his now 20-year-old trailblazer in training, an aspiring aviator essaying Alaska's aerial arcs that Marty's mantle, though momentarily muted, materialized anew. By 2024's cusp, he resurfaced in seasons 12 and 13, reaffirming his rapture for the remote while recalibrating for relational. Radiance, his brood, Dominique and Noah, bolstering the broadcast as co-conspirators in the coniferous crusade. This resurgence, a ripple in the river of his reticence, underscored an unyielding ethos, wilderness as womb, family as firmament. At 59, Marty's mosaic, melding pelt procurer, pyre parachutist, and pilot prodigy, mirrors a man manifestly multifaceted, his coffers cresting at $300,000 to $450,000 by 2025's dawn, accrued from aerial assignments, authorial arcs like in the land of wilderness, wilderness whispers, and the windfall from wilderness vignettes. Yet opulence's oracle pales beside his patrimony. Noah, now navigating the northerner's nebula, imbibing his indelible inheritance of ingenuity and intrepidity. Marty transcends the telecast's tether, a paragon of primordial prowess, his peregrinations through peril's portals a parable for the pusillanimous, evoking explorers' esprit and emancipators' elan. Whither his waypoint now? Will the wild's warden wander anew, scripting sequels in snare and sky, or savor the solitude's subtle symphony? His saga summoned speculation, a sequel in seclusion, or a screen's encore etching elder exploits. Share your suppositions in the symposium below. If this vignette of valor veiled your voids, bestow benedictions with approbations and affiliations to our archive. Prior to parting, peruse the panoramas proffered on your portal.